Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back here at the New Hope Church with all of you and so many thought partners, friends, colleagues, and people I've had really crucial conversations with. I am Julie Murphy. I'm the director of the Energy and Carbon Management Commission. We're a division within Colorado's Department of Natural Resources, and we are thrilled to be here collectively as an organization and me individually. I think this is roughly my 8th E&E Symposium. And I'm just wondering when Kirby's going to get me a badge for my brownie sash. I'm not naming names, I'm not asking for anything, but I feel like at some point we should all get some sort of acknowledgement of long-standing support. But I think that that's also a testament to the caliber of content and the human beings that you get to interact with at this event. Also, I love conferences. As you may know, I am a wild extrovert, and so we kicked it off last night with tons of really good conversations and introductions, and I look forward to that continuing. But with that, thank you, Kirby, so much for hosting us. Thank you, Garfield County, Colorado Mesa University. The list of people who are involved in making this happen is long, distinguished, and it's I appreciate the investment every year. Kirby gave me 20 minutes, and we all know that he's a stickler, and I see I'm 4 minutes in, so I better start jumping in. And I apologize now for a bit of a scattershot approach. Our organization has had a really exciting year, roughly, and a really exciting couple of months, and I want to make sure I touch on those. I'm going to try to reserve time for questions, but as many of you know, many of the conversations that are so valuable about this space happen right over there, and I'm happy to have you grab somebody from our team. So I wanted to touch on the fact that on a couple of harder notes, difficult notes, things that we're not as excited about but are important to communicate. We did have a well control incident in Weld County on April 6th. I'm very grateful to the first responders, to the operator, and to the local government for responding and getting that under control, taking care of public health, safety, welfare, and now we've entered into the remediation phase of that project. And so if you have more questions about it, I'm happy to talk about it, but want to acknowledge that that is one of the things that we've been dealing with in the last few days and has certainly occupied a lot of people's minds. At this point in time, we are the organization that oversees the cleanup of that incident, as many of you know who work with us closely. A second thing that we've been dealing with that has been particularly difficult and unprecedented in my career is data falsification. We announced in the fall that individuals at environmental consulting firms falsified laboratory data and reports that the consultants then submitted to our organization. We continue to be disappointed with it, and yet we continue to be impressed by how people are showing up afterwards, right? Trying to find solutions. We've changed how information is coming into us so we can better understand it. We are also doing our own look at the issue and trying to better understand if there are other controls or procedures we can institute, right? We're only as good as our data. And so we want to make sure we're clear on that and continue to improve that process. I'm appreciative of all the operators who are working with us on our recent notice to operators about how to submit data. If you have questions about that, our esteemed Greg Duranlo is here and can answer questions about it. So I think I would offer that those are the heavies, right? And now I get to go into the more happy part of my remarks, and I'm grateful for that. Many of you know and have been involved in our conversations around NOx. I'm not going to say nitrous oxides, but laughing gas is not what I'm talking about, to be clear. And everybody can giggle right now because it is kind of funny when that gets screwed up. So NOx has been a huge conversation, especially in the non-attainment area on the Front Range, and managing those emissions in Colorado is important. We recently had a presentation about a compilation of data submitted by operators showing that our operators are on balance over complying with the targeted reductions. And so from a sector standpoint, that's outstanding. I think that that's just a really, really great place to start. And I look forward to continuing to work on that issue. If you have questions about that, Sabrina Trask on my team has been leading it. She's not here today, but is a great person to discuss with it. Another topic that has been of deep and robust conversation is cumulative impacts and what that means and how we define it. And I would offer that I think that cumulative impacts is one of the most difficult topics to wrestle with because it is different from what is a cement standard, right? It's not engineering. It's what do we think, what do we feel, what should be included when we're looking collectively at where to site oil and gas. With that, it was a difficult conversation, it was difficult rulemaking, and yet here we are again in Colorado blazing the trail into new and uncharted territory to try to understand collectively how a community is being impacted, and understanding its background as well. I won't talk more about that because Lauren Mercer from ECMC is participating in a panel yet later today on it that will really dig into more of the content. But I will say that it is a place where Colorado has come together. We did come together to find solutions on it and to test drive it and to understand what it looks like. And I think we will continue to see iteration in that space as we continue to refine and understand how we can do it better. That to me is one of the hallmarks of what it is to be part of this space, if you will. I don't know. It's not really just an industry. It's not really just a regulatory body. It's not really just this. It's all of us together. And I think Commissioner Sampson echoed those, or started our day today with those remarks. It's all of us together trying to figure out solutions collectively. So I look forward to continuing conversations on cumulative impacts. So next topic, marginal wells, another big topic last legislative session. And I would offer that we have put together a marginal well program. And we also have a methane emission reduction program, which is a federally funded opportunity. But broadly speaking, these two programs fund plugging, reclaiming, and remediating marginal wells, which is different from our orphan well program, which is something else entirely. What I will say is that our application for these two programs is open. So folks who are interested in learning more about our marginal well plugging program, please reach out to me, check our website, and happy to connect you with the right folks. So it's a great opportunity in many ways. And for those of you who are curious or have heard or read that funding is not available to ECMC as of today's Wednesday, as of Monday when I checked in with our budget team, all those funds were available, not frozen. So if you've read recently that we're not getting our orphan well funding, that's not true based on my experience just this past week. So just FYI. And I am getting close to closing out with like a record 10 minutes, which is also pretty on par for me because I talk too quickly all of the time. But I do really invite questions and conversations, whether it's at the mics in the back of the room right now or on the sidebars. And I would note that jumping around like this does make me feel like I'm a toddler, right? I'm just like bouncing around between topics, which is kind of also pretty consistent with what my personal life is right now. So maybe I'm following my children's lead right now. But I will say that, in 2025, we're 5 years past the adoption of our 181 rules. And I think that this has been the emission change rules, and I think that this transition has been huge, and I think we're all settling into what that space looks like. We're finding our way through it and continuing to focus, and we've had a lull on the legislative front, at least as it relates to my organization, the Energy and Carbon Management Commission, and with that time, we're really looking forward to understanding how things are really working on the ground. Where did we design something, and how can it be refined and improved, both from a data intake standpoint, both from an outcome standpoint, right? Sometimes when I think that there's continued opportunity to grow, improve, and refine. And so I'm grateful for this little bit of time here as we think about that. So as you are thinking about your interactions with us as operators, as the public, as a local government, if there are places that you see opportunities for improvement, I'm curious. I would like to know more. So I would like to take a couple of minutes to acknowledge the folks from our team who came out. As I said, the sidebar conversations are some of the most powerful and impactful, and I want you to know who we are so you can check in with us as well. And I am a big tent person, right? So I would probably like to go table by table and say, I know you, I'm so glad you're here, thank you, but I'm gonna try to limit it to just the folks at the Energy and Carbon Management Commission. Because I see my colleagues from BLM, I see my colleagues from APCD, I know that there are colleagues from the Department of Natural Resources coming or are here. It's such a great gathering, and not to mention all of our local government partners who make this collectively something we can do together. So I mentioned Greg already, but he's our new Deputy Director for Operations. And I would acknowledge that ECMC uses operations different than the rest of the world, which is really exciting all of the time. But when we mean operations, you were thinking permitting, compliance, enforcement, permitting, right? The operation of regulating is how I think about it. So if you have questions about how that's going, please find Greg. He is also on a panel, so you'll get to hear from him directly as well. Lauren Mercer is also with us. She is our new deputy for policy. And so if you're thinking, gosh, I wonder what the legislature's doing, or how many rulemakings are we signed up for, Lauren's your person. And she'll also be on a panel, as I noted earlier. We also have welcomed a new deputy, which is a really exciting and amazing opportunity for me. And it's like all the stuff I'm really bad at. And so our Deputy Director for Strategic Services, Paige Papillon, is also with us today. And so if you want to think about how are we working as an organization, where are the places we have opportunities to improve our processes? She's the thought leader in that space for us. So please take some time and connect with her as well. We also, as an organization and as an outgrowth of the cumulative impact rules and the related statutory directives, hired 2 community liaisons, and they are here with us today. I would love for you to connect with them. One is Jessica Chavez, and if she can raise her hand, and the other is Stephen Arauza. Many of you probably know Stephen on this side of the divide, and we're thrilled to have him transition from being one of our environmental protection specialists and into this new role that's a little bit more community focused. For those of you who have not met Jessica, she's also amazing, but she brings a new and fresh face to us as well, focused in this role, and look forward to seeing how she can help support communities. She's more focused on the Front Range. I can't say Eastern Plains. I mean, I can't say Eastern Plains, but the East Slope. Sometimes I say East Slope and then I feel ridiculous. So anyway, so the Front Range, Eastern Plains. And we're thrilled to have their expertise and guide how it is we're doing, what it is that we're doing more successfully. We also have 3 of our 5 full-time commissioners. We have Commissioner John Mesner, Commissioner Brett Ackerman, and Commissioner Mike Cross. So if you have questions about how those hearing type of things are going, please talk to them. They're lovely and wonderful human beings as well. And we also have Pete Dunleavy, and I haven't yet seen him this morning, but, oh, there he is, great. And so Pete is also, out in this whole new space for us, really focusing on how to support local governments in looking at siting renewables, wind and solar. And that's the focus right now. I think it's a great role, understanding how these different pieces come together and also being another conduit or way to access the information and what it is that we're doing. So I wanted to make sure I got our team introduced. Again, there are so many familiar faces. There are so many other people that I've gotten to work with and I'm grateful for. We continue to adjust and move forward and really look forward to continuing and seeing you all next year, I hope. And I did make it to have 5 minutes for questions if you have them. Otherwise, we can all talk amongst ourselves and make new friends, right? Like I would offer, reach around, look around and find somebody new to introduce yourself to. Sorry, I'm a little bit messy, imprecise this morning in my words, but happy to take questions. I can also start pontificating on whatever else I'm thinking about at the moment, but that's not particularly insightful. Questions, comments? Otherwise, I'm gonna send this back to the next panelist. Great, awesome. Well, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you all so much.